Hey everybody, welcome back to the Moto Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Luke Nesler, CEO of Impakt Results. Hey, I wanted to say thanks. I had a lot of folks come up to me this weekend at the General GNCC in Washington, Georgia. The event was still a massive success. As many of you know, I started a EMTB, e-mountain bike race team this year, and we are going racing with the GNCC series. They've grown their EMTB segment. Much like Steve Mathis, I'm a big fan of the EMTB scene. It's a lot of fun, and we do a lot of work with GNCC running their digital marketing for the series. And while I've grown up riding motorcycles, I race BMX and I race mountain bikes. And I thought, hey, you know what? Let's put a team together. And we made our debut, first EMTB team in the country. And we were on Vendor Row, across from the pro pits, and had a lot of folks stop by and talk about the podcast, and really appreciate that. I enjoyed spending time with you guys, and it was cool to hear everybody that's listening to the show. So just wanted to say thanks for that. Hey, today we got a little bit of a special episode. I bring my Chief Marketing Officer and junior partner in, George Cicci, and we talk about what you can do in these strange times that we're in now. Hopefully this shall pass soon, but the bottom line is, with everybody kind of social distancing, which is the buzzword right now, and locking themselves down. Look, there's going to be more online shopping than ever. I think I saw in the news yesterday that Jeff Bezos with Amazon is hiring 100,000 people, Amazon employees. Online revenue, online sales is more important now than ever, because if your event has been canceled, which so many unfortunately have, and I don't really see any light at the end of the tunnel yet, so who knows when these events are going to get back on the schedule, but so many of you have purchased inventory for these events. So what on earth do you do? How do you continue to sell your product if people aren't going to dealerships currently, if people aren't going to events and trade shows and expos and races and things like that? Well, the answer is online. Hey, if they're at home, they're going to be spending a lot of time looking at their phone, shopping online, things like that. So this special episode is about strategies that you can use specifically to help drive revenue in this strange time. But here's the beautiful thing. Let's say this all goes away in 2-3 weeks and we get back to life as you know it. Definitely online sales, everything we talk about here is very applicable. It can really help you ramp it up in normal times as well as very strange times, which we're in right now. So I hope you enjoy this episode. George is a very, very, very intelligent person when it comes to targeted digital marketing, social and search marketing. He is the guy that leads the team for the brands that we work with: FMF, Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, GNCC, 100%. So give it a listen, and I hope you take away some information. I break down, if George goes a little bit too tech lingo for you, I do slow it down and try to explain what some of what he's talking about means to try to make it as applicable to you as possible. If you have questions from this show and you want to try to implement some of this, or if you want to become a client, obviously it's easy, reach out to us. But if you're trying to do this on your own and you're just lost, I'm offering free calls. If you have questions about what the next steps are, you can set up a call with me, and this is completely free, no catch, by going to meetingwithluke.com. That's going to take you to my calendar, and you can book a time with me. So if you hear something on here and you want to take action and do this, but you're just stuck, or you have a very simple question or something like that, book a meeting with me. I'm happy to hop on a call with you and try to set you on the right path so that you can get this rolling. So without further ado, let's dive into the show with myself and my Chief Marketing Officer, George Cicci at Impakt Results.
Welcome to the Moto Marketing Podcast, presented by RacerX, the podcast for moto industry professionals, entrepreneurs, and riders. If you want to grow your brand and business in today's digital-first world, you have to know how to turn a stranger into a fan, turn a like into a customer. You have to know how to turn attention into dollars. This podcast is dedicated to keeping you in the know on real marketing tactics that work in the moto world so that you grow your business and help grow the sport. Get ready to learn from the very same marketing experts trusted by RacerX, Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, GNCC, and NBC Sports. They'll help you navigate the world of digital marketing for your moto brand. This is the Moto Marketing Podcast. Presented by Racer X.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast. Hey, as promised, we got a special episode for you today. We've got my Chief Marketing Officer. He's one of the partners of Impakt Results, Impakt Media. We've got our CMO, George Cicci, in the booth with us today. Welcome to the show, George.
Thanks for having me back, man. It's always a good time.
It is always a good time, and I tell you what, the last episode that we did that was a marketing deep dive was very popular. Got a lot of good response from it, and I wanted to bring another one of those back, and I think now is a good time for it, just because of everything that we have going on in the world currently with this coronavirus epidemic. Am I saying that right, George?
Yeah, you put an N in there where there shouldn't be one. It's an epidemic.
Epidemic.
Yes.
Epidemic. So the coronavirus, obviously, everybody's heard of it. Everybody's very scared of it. Is it affecting business? It may or may not at the time you're listening to this. Maybe when you listen to this, it's already passed. But one thing that we've been talking about internally here at Impakt is what do our clients need to know? What are some ways that we as digital marketers, social media marketing experts, search marketing experts, how can we help our clients be prepared to continue to have the cash flowing and products selling if people decide not to go to the dealership? If that trade show or that expo that you had spent a lot of money on doesn't happen, how do you keep products moving? So what we want to talk about are a couple things you should keep in mind. Doubling down on online sales, because if people are holed up in their house, doesn't mean they're not going to buy your product. It means they're not going to go to a brick and mortar and buy your product. So what are some things that we need to keep in mind right now to really make sure that the online marketing is ticking along and producing, George?
Absolutely. So, like you said, people are going to continue to shop, whether they're going to be shopping in person or they're going to be shopping on, on their phone at home. If we get to a state like where, Italy, if that becomes like the U.S. or the U.S. becomes like Italy and we're quarantined and stuff like that, people are going to continue to shop. So really the most important thing is to make sure that your products are available for people to buy. There's no two ways about it. Make sure that you are on a solid platform. We talked about this last time. Shopify,
right.
Shopify or BigCommerce are the two most solid platforms out there. Very easy to integrate, very quick to put together, and make sure you've got a solid plan in place for advertising your products to people. Now, if any time is probably one of the best times to jump into it, because if you do rely on distributor sales through brick and mortar institutions, now is the time to get your direct to consumer game on point, so you can actually get your product into the hands of the consumers. For folks that may have been relying on trade shows, what we're recommending now, and we're working with multiple clients at this point who do rely on trade shows to sell a lot of their product, to get get people's eyes on the product, is that if you've already purchased, we have one client in the fitness space purchased 10, 15 grand of product to go to the Arnold, which got canceled. We're working with him on how do you structure a sale to actually recoup that. What type of discounts can you offer to kind of actually make sure your profit margins stay in place? So it's really being able to think, what can I offer to the people who may be stuck at home?
Sure.
That's also going to benefit me as well. So, the big one we always go with whenever we kick a client off with us is 20% off on your products. 20% is the magic number that gets people to buy without a doubt. If you have a website already, and even if you're not doing a really lot of active marketing, and if you have the Facebook pixel on there, the first thing I would do is I would actually launch remarketing campaigns, right? Cart abandonment campaigns, things like that. Hit people with that 20% discount. If you're just starting off, put that 20% discount in what we call the outreach ads. Those are the ads that you run for people who haven't been to your website before.
Right. It's the initial point of contact.
Yeah.
And when you had said the cart abandonment and the retargeting, the cart abandonment is what it sounds like. It's the people that maybe added something to a shopping cart and then abandoned that and left. Mm-hmm. You can actually retarget those folks, bring them back. Retargeting is simply people that have visited your site, whether they added something to cart or not, hitting them with additional ads, knowing that they've been to that site. We talked about this before with Shopify, but if you'll briefly hit on it again, with Shopify, we're doing for our clients what's called dynamic retargeting. Mm-hmm. Will you explain what that is? Because I think that's a critical component that people need to understand how to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. So with dynamic retargeting, the basic idea behind that for how it works is, say Luke comes to your site, he looks at a helmet, a pair of goggles, and a pair of gloves, and he doesn't even have to add them to cart. He just looks at them and then leaves without purchasing. So immediately thereafter, what would happen is a carousel ad, which is one of those ads where you see multiple images at the bottom, like a slideshow. Immediately thereafter, Luke will then see, and it's customized to each person who visits your site and views content. Luke would then see the helmet, the gloves, and the goggles with that reminder of 20% off. So really what you're doing is the ad copy stays the same for the retargeting ads, dynamic retargeting ads, but the images change. So you want to have some generalized boilerplate copy that talks about, and have fun with it too, because those are the ones that we see,
Right.
the ad copy that works best for us is when we say, for one of our fitness clients, don't be a quitter.
Right.
Come back and seal the deal.
Yeah.
That type of thing. So have fun with it, and really, even something like, no cart left behind. Like everybody uses that,
Right,
because it works.
Right, exactly.
So have fun with it. But those are really effective ads to be running right now.
Cool. So, listen, as George and I were talking just before we hit record on this, hopefully this all goes away. But we wanted to at least bring you something that you can bake into your business plan, your marketing plan, if things do get worse to where more of the country goes maybe a little bit on lockdown, right? And people aren't leaving their house as much, and it might affect your dealership sales. What can you do? Well, it doesn't mean they're going to stop buying unless it gets just absolutely awful, which I hope it doesn't get to that point. So if it's just a matter of people aren't going out as much, aren't traveling as much, it doesn't mean that the sales have to dip. They will dip if you don't have some type of a online marketing plan. And it doesn't just go for targeted ads. If you're, we'll use RacerX for example, you should be obviously in the magazine, but also reach out to them and find out what can you do about being on RacerX online on their digital platforms, getting involved with their podcasts. What Steve Mathis is doing over at Pulp MX. Those are all things that can help continue to drive awareness of your brand, traffic to your site, and sales of your product. And again, hopefully, by the time you're listening to this, hopefully this thing's completely all blown over. But if not, there's a little bit of piece of information that can keep cash flowing for you. All right, so let's talk about some things that we are seeing that is working currently very well for our clients. So if you missed the first episode, absolutely you can go back and check that out to where I had George on. But what we like to talk about is obviously what we do at Impakt Results. We get results for our clients. We help them drive online, trackable, measurable sales from their digital marketing. So what are some things that you can take away from what we've learned to implement for yourself? If you maybe have a smaller business and you don't have a marketing team, or you don't have the funds to access somebody like us that could do it for you, what are some things that you could be doing internally to drive sales? What's working right now? The benefit of what we have access to is we get to test things before other people do. We're a top 5% Facebook, Instagram marketing company. That means that we are in the top 5% of trackable results. We get better results than 95% of the other professionals that do this, so we get another level of access to Facebook. So George and his team are able to test things before others have access to them. So when it comes out to everybody else, we've already more or less perfected it. So that's some of the stuff that George is going to give us a quick rundown on today. What can you be doing in your marketing that we know works because we've been doing it for a while?
Yeah. So the big changes for 2020, we've had two, I would say, major algorithm changes. And one of them is the number of ads in a campaign. If you remember like 2 years ago, Luke, we were telling people, because that's the way the algorithm was working 2 years ago, we were running 180 ads per ad set.
Yeah.
And they were all massive multivariate split tests. So not just an A/B test, but an A through triple Z test, really, really big. Over the past year, we started to see the number of ads needed to be effective in a campaign start shrinking, and now we're down to the lowest I've seen it, where we're having 2 to 3 campaigns with 2 to 3 ad, and actually it's 2 ad sets with 2 to 3 ads in each of those ad sets. So really you're talking running about 6 to 9 ads in total, which is a huge departure for even how things were about 6 months ago.
Okay.
6 months ago, it was, 6 to 8 ads, something like that. So what we're talking about is actually bringing the ad count down. And one of the most interesting things is we have a client who has been with us for going on a year right now. They have one campaign with 3 ad sets in it, and they're killing it. Now, that's a little bit of an anomaly.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see how that's working.
Explain what an ad set is really quick for those that might. So you're saying there's levels, campaign, ad set, and then ads. Can you break those down?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the campaign side of things, at the campaign level, what you're doing is you're setting your objective. Each campaign type is very specific. So do I want to get video views? So what you run a video view campaign, you're going to get a lot of video views, very little traffic, almost no sales, which is phenomenal for awareness. If you're going to run a traffic campaign, you're going to get people who are more apt to click and come to the website, but they might not be as apt to purchase, and you're going to get less awareness and less reach with that. And then, of course, the holy grail of objectives is conversion to purchase, which means you're going to get less traffic, less awareness, but you're going to get more purchases. So at the campaign level, you set your objective. The next step down inside of a campaign, you have ad sets. That's where you set your targeting. So you don't make one target audience with all of your interests and visitors to your website and, a lookalike of your email list all in one target group. You break those out. So 3 targeting groups. And then your bids controlled there as well. And then the ads are inside of the ad set. So your ad is what you would normally see, what the end user sees. What is really fascinating about this, though, is that it really illustrates how intelligent the Facebook algorithm is getting at this point. It continues to grow, continues to evolve, but there's another feature inside of Facebook, which is prospecting, which we're just starting to use. We've been watching it. We've tested a little bit here and there, waiting for it to warm up, waiting for it to kind of hit its stride and start working. But prospecting works in a very interesting way in that it delivers dynamic ads, like the dynamic retargeting ads, but to people who may be interested in your product who have never heard of you before.
Wow. So it's gotten to that point to where it can decipher, has this person interacted with this brand online or not? And if they haven't, it introduces them to your brand. Right.
So if they're in the interest group, so say you've got, say you just have motocross as a general one interest ad set.
Right.
Okay. And you decide, I want to find people who have not been to my site, but who are into motocross, who not only have not been to my site, but who may be interested in the product itself.
Sure.
And then it goes out and prospects them. So that's a really big thing to be using as well. You will actually find that in the Facebook Ads Manager. You have to set up a catalog conversion, which is a different type of conversion. So if you're using Shopify or BigCommerce, those are available to you, catalog conversions.
So this will be a good question that I'm curious about. So a client that I know we can discuss on this show, we're getting ready to do a lot of work with FMF.
Right.
Obviously a brand that if you own a motorcycle, unless you're somebody deep in the woods that never sees society, you've heard of FMF. How does what you just explained pertain to a brand that is well known, that pretty much everybody has heard of them? Is it something that would still go into account when we unroll that type of a campaign? Or if you're very well known, like the FMFs, the 100%, the big brands, is it a different strategy they'd have to look at, and this one isn't applicable to them?
This one isn't as applicable to them, but it's still something we're going to roll out with them because we like...
Because you test it.
We test it, yeah. Everything here, we talk about the ABTs. Always be testing.
Yeah.
So we'll roll that out. We'll see how it works. If it's working, if it's making money for them, then we'll keep using it. If it's not, then we'll just roll that spend into one of the other objectives. So
don't be afraid to test. If you're hearing this and you're like, everybody knows my brand.
Test it.
Everybody knows FMF.
Yeah.
We're going to test it with them because there's going to be some level of success that comes from it. George and the team will learn. Little D and his team will learn from it, and then we can move forward accordingly. So don't be afraid to test something, even if you're like, no, that doesn't apply to me. You really don't know until you test that.
Right, exactly. And with the way that Facebook, we joke with people all the time, like 80% of our job is just keeping up with what what algorithm changes there are. So, you could be using this type of campaign and all of a sudden it would take off. You never know. Something might change in the algorithm where it actually works for you. So just test these things out, see if they're working for you. And if they're not working for you, turn them off and you funnel the money into different objectives.
Got it.
That's a really big one there. The other big change comes for interest targeting. Interest targeting is the old standby. It's the one that's been around the longest with Facebook and Instagram. Essentially, you put in, what are they interested in? Motocross, particular brands they're interested in, Yamaha, Honda, FMF, things like that. And you build out your interest base. And then at the bottom of the targeting, there's it's a box for expanding interest targeting. Mm-hmm. So what that does is you put together all of these interests, and okay, you might have like 3-4 million people in that audience, which is a pretty good size audience for most people. You hit the expand interest targeting. When you expand interest targeting, what happens is it sends a signal to Facebook that says, okay, if we find another interest that's not listed in this group, so say we have 10 interests, if we find one that we know is going to be profitable for you, then we'll actually add that in as we need to add it in. So it's not added permanently. It's on a real-time shifting basis. So at 12:03 in the morning on Sunday night, Luke might be up, looking at something on Facebook, and in that moment, if he's more interested in, say, Renthal than anything else, it might go to, okay, great, Luke Nesler is more interested in Renthal than anything else. Renthal is tangentially, part of this targeting ad set. What it's going to do is shift the ads to him to make the money in that moment. So it's going to go, it's really intelligent. It's going to go and deliver it to the people with the interests that have the highest chance of actually converting at the lowest price.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, first off, did you have anything else specifically that you were wanting to go over before I shift gears?
No, shift gears. Go.
Okay, so when we are talking to a new potential client, mm-hmm. there are certain questions that we ask them that I think would be valuable to share on the show, because I think you can explain why are we asking these questions, because then you can look at your site and setup and determine where you fall into it. So we don't just work with anybody and everybody. We'd love to be able to work with every moto brand, cycling brand, fitness brand, but there's certain things that indicate to us when we can really help the most. So some things we look at are web traffic, how much traffic is going to your site. We look at your average order value. So if you have a $10 product, what's your average order value? Are they buying multiple or are they buying one? We look at order volume for the month, not the amount of the dollar number, but the volume of sales. Are you selling 20 products or 200 products? Those are really the three main things that you and Lacey and everybody on the social and search marketing team want to know. Why is that important? And let's start with the web traffic, because I think everybody can learn, okay, I need to grow these numbers before I'm going to be able to have the level of success that I want on digital marketing.
Yeah, it's a great point, because if you're just getting started with this whole thing, with this process of selling online, what you want to do is you want to get your web traffic up to a sustainable level. Now, for us, we have kind of our, without giving too much away, our sweet spot is really, one of the calculations we use is a minimum of 5,000 visitors per month. That's the minimum. And what we found with that is, unless you have that many visitors per month, you aren't building up an audience to actually target. It takes between 11 and 17 touches to actually get somebody to buy something, right?
So meaning they've got to see it 11 to 17 times. Mm-hmm. They're not going to see your ad once and then go spend $300 on your site.
Right. And so they also have to be educated on your product. What is it that you do? What is it that you offer? So the best way to get people educated on the product about what you do, what you offer, is to actually drive traffic to your website. So that's how you start to build an informed, educated audience. Now, before you do any of that, make sure you put the flipping Facebook pixel on your site,
right,
so you can capture the data.
Yes.
You don't start running the traffic and go, I'll put the pixel on afterwards. No.
Right.
Pixel on the second you launch a website, Okay, actually, before you launch the website, the pixel should be installed because you want to track everything.
Exactly.
So 5,000 visitors minimum before you start getting into conversion, right? So, and for a lot of people, that might seem like a lot of work, and you know what? It is, but what we work towards and what we coach people on too is to build a sustainable online presence for selling your merchandise. So 5,000 visitors per month is the first one we look at. The next one really goes into Facebook's kind of necessities for being able to have a particular type of conversion. So everybody wants sales, right? So in order to optimize for sales, and we say optimize, what we mean is it tells the algorithm, go find more people who are willing to buy this product at this price. And bring them to the site. So in order to optimize for sales, to find those people, you have to have 50 sales per week on your site.
That's the sweet spot.
Yeah, that's the sweet spot. That's the minimum for being able to optimize for any conversion event.
Yeah.
So if you're not getting 50 sales per week, then what you do, we call it optimizing up the funnel. Mm-hmm. So before somebody actually makes the purchase, what's the thing they do right before they make the purchase? They add payment info. Okay, so if you have 50 add payment infos per week, you can actually optimize for add payment info because the people who add payment info are more likely to purchase.
Right. So all that's available. I mean, if you're listening to this and you're like, my gosh, you can target people or optimize for it to deliver ads to people that actually enter their credit card information. Mm-hmm. Yes, you absolutely can. Yeah. And then the last thing is the amount of orders that you have per month. So why is that important? Well, for us as a service provider, we're asking that because we want to make sure that if your average order value is $100, we want to make sure that you're generating enough of those for us to be able to get you to a point to where you're going to make more than enough to cover our fee and profit off of it. Right. If you're doing it internally, you need to make sure that you are selling enough to cover your ad spend, the money that you put into Facebook ads. So you might be sitting there saying, George, I don't have 5,000 visitors a month and I don't have 50 orders a day. So is social media advertising not for me? And the answer is no. You have to understand that you can't start at the conversion point. You can't start at trying to generate sales. You need to start at where George indicated is really important, driving traffic. And then once you get that traffic up, your orders are going to increase. And then you need to try to get it to where you are selling 50 orders a day. That's when you can really start pushing. Now, you had said 50 orders a day. That's what we looked at.
Per week.
I'm sorry, per week.
Yeah.
You had said per week. That's a metric that we use to qualify a client for us, correct? To make sure we're covering. Now, if John Smith is listening to this and he does not have the budget to hire a company like us, he wants to do it on his own, he really needs to be paying attention to traffic, right?
Traffic, exactly.
Right? He might not have 50 orders a week. That's not as big of a deal for him if he's going to do it on his own. Am I right or wrong?
You're 100%. Okay. Yeah. So, somebody just starting out in this, you want to start off with traffic. You want to get people to your website. You want to get that pixel educated. And then what's going to happen at that point is sales will start to trickle in because you're going to get more visitors. It's when it comes down to it, it's a pretty simple formula.
Yeah.
The more visitors you have, the more sales you're likely to have.
It starts with the site. And Georgia talked about that. Yeah. So have a quality site that has all the technology built in that you need, like the dynamic retargeting. So Shopify. Start with a Shopify site or a BigCommerce site. Drive traffic to that site. The sales will start to trickle in.
Right. And then, if you, as you're looking up the funnel, so you might not have 50 purchases yet, you might not have 50 add payment infos yet, but you might have, more than 50 add to carts, because a lot of people, myself included, love to go to a site, take a look at it, hit add to cart, check out the shipping, and be like, nah, I'll come back later.
Yeah.
So the add to carts is where we do actually start a lot of our clients. And here's a pro tip, a pro secret on this one. Lacey, my senior strategist, and I have found out that add to cart actually works almost as good, if not better, than optimizing for purchase.
Really?
Because a purchase costs more than an add to cart does.
Really? Huh.
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so a purchase will actually eat up more of your budget than an add to cart will.
And people will still buy when you optimize to hit the people that have added to cart and left. But it's not as expensive from an ad spend
Exactly,
standpoint.
Right. And that's if you're getting enough traffic. So if you're at that 5,000 per month level of visitors, or above, you may be able to stay with add to cart. We have some of our largest clients right now. They're making metric F tons of money on the campaigns, and they're still in optimize for add to cart because we're looking at it. We're like, the cost per purchase is too cheap. We can't turn our back on that. We have to stay there. So it's actually, so it's really cool. So that's something else you can do there. And then one of the last ones, we have a client who just came to us. They've got a big potential to blow up, but they don't have the visitors. And they have the visitors, but they don't have anywhere near the purchases, the add to carts, or the ad payment info. The very top of that, which you can optimize for, is view content. And what you're looking for at that point, that sends a signal to Facebook saying, send people who are interested in this type of product, who are willing to spend, it's an undetermined amount of time, but it's probably like 10 seconds, 12, 15 seconds at least on the site looking at products, because those people then are the people that would most likely add to cart, so on and so forth down the funnel.
Yeah. So, I mean, you might be listening to George and being like, my gosh, that's a lot of information. It is. Listen, this is what George does. George and his team, this is all they do all day long. So he makes it sound very simple. It's okay if you're listening and you're like, I have no idea. Here's what I would recommend. If you're a very, very small business and you do not have the budget to hire an internal employee and you need to do it on your own, or maybe you have an employee, you don't have the budget to hire a professional company like us to do it, that's okay. The nice thing about these tools, you can do this on your own. That's why we do these episodes. I will even do this. If you have questions, if you hear something that George says and you're like, okay, I'm seeing it, but I got a few questions about it. Email us, questions@motomarketingpodcast.com. Send me a direct message on Instagram. I will even video George answering your question and send it back to you. We're happy to help. If you are somebody that you want to scale this out and do it on your own, and you have a budget and you have an internal marketing person, the way that we work with our clients best is when they do have an internal marketing person, we come in as an extension of your team and we scale this out. George and Lacey and Abby and Mike and the team here, they're experts at what they do, and we are hired for one reason: to generate revenue. That's it. The last thing I'll leave you guys with is the way to really make a dent is to have a direct sales marketing program. That's what we're talking about now. You spend $10 to make 20 or 30. In conjunction with a brand awareness, brand equity building type of a marketing program. That's where brands like RacerX Print, RacerX Online, partnering with events and having your branding at those events, these things are all very important. The worst thing you can do is one thing, even if that thing is what we talked about today. You need to be omnipresent, especially in this sport. So if you're in RacerX Illustrated, talk to them about getting online. If you're online, talking about what can you do to be part of their content. How can you have a feature in the magazine? If you are around, whatever, if you're in Southern California, if you're in Michigan, if you're in Pennsylvania, wherever you're at, find out what type of local series you have. If you're near Jeff Cernick, talk to him. How can you get involved with the events that he puts on and get your name out there? We just interviewed FXR today, a gear company that came out of nowhere and they're blowing up. Part of their strategy is digital. Part of their strategy is getting their brand at events and in traditional print media that's been around for a very long time. There's a reason RacerX is one of the only print magazines left, and it's because people still read it. People don't throw the magazines away, right? So there's definitely value in that, and I can't encourage you enough to look at the plan as a whole. Don't do just that and ignore your digital. And there's a lot that George talked about. It is much more simple to just buy an ad in RacerX than it is to learn all of the stuff that George is talking about today. But it is extremely important that you do learn it, or you hire somebody that already knows it and they can scale those sales out. So I hope you got value from this today. George will bring you back on. I think we need to get Lacey in here for the next one too.
Absolutely, yeah.
She's a rock star and can bring a ton of value. So where can people follow you on Instagram if they have questions? George.cicci. Go ahead and follow me and message me there. And I'll get back to you with any questions. And George is always at the High Point National. It's our local race. So we always do a team outing there. So if it's something that you're at that race, we still have a few months to go, obviously, for that. But we should set up a Q&A tent for people. We should. And we Davey, we might have to do that. We'll set that up. We'll have a marketing Q&A tent. I'm sure it'll be just a riveting success at a motocross event. Marketing Q&A tent. But we definitely will be there.
Oh, yeah. We're there every year. Absolutely.
Right behind the finish line.
Yep.
You can come up, talk to us, have a drink, hang out, and we will answer your marketing questions live. And we might even video it and put it on Instagram.
That'd be fun.
Awesome. Hey, guys, I appreciate you listening, and we will talk to you soon. If you have questions, again, email them the questions at motomarketingpodcast.com, and we will be back next week with another episode.
Thank you for listening to the Moto Marketing Podcast. If your goal is to get real, measurable results from your marketing that will grow your company revenue, then check out how Impakt Media can get the same results that they have for Moto's most iconic brands by visiting thinkimpakt.com. That's THINKIMPAKT.com. Have a marketing question that you want answered on the show? Send your questions to questions@motomarketingpodcast.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast.